how can we make Evolve Venture Society a place where it can be the place for other people in our community to make sure that they don't have to feel lonely in this growth journey. And like, that's the kind of things that I want to do.
You know, I started changing and I did end up losing a lot of people. But what I'm here to tell you is what I gained was so much more. I gained 3 amazing, extraordinary people in my life, Kevin, Allen, and Emilia. Hey everybody, and welcome to Evolve Ventures, where we are making evolution possible for growth-minded humans through vulnerable lessons, stories, and technology. I am your host, Bianca Thomas.
And I am your host, Emilia Smith. Welcome back for another episode, 133, Motivation Monday. Welcome back. Growth doesn't have to be lonely. That's what we're going to be digging into this episode. And for anyone that clicked onto this, if you feel lonely right now, you're not alone. I know we say this in a lot of our episodes and, you know, like, man, this growth journey, it sucks. Let's be real, you know, but it doesn't have to be lonely. And that's what we want to make sure that you feel by the time that you are at least halfway into this episode. We will be bite-sizing this episode. And we're going to make sure that you have a community that can support you, that you can tap into whenever you feel ready, you know, to make it not feel lonely. Because that's the thing. When you can have people around you, virtually even, it makes the growth journey that much more rewarding.
Emilia and I have a lot of clients who they're keeping themselves stuck in old environments of theirs. They're keeping themselves around misaligned friends, misaligned families. They're not expanding in their careers. They're not challenging themselves. They're not doing more. They're not trying more. And it all comes out of fear. And for the majority of them, it's not fear that it's not possible, but it comes down to the fear that it is. And what's going to happen to the people in their life, the people that they love, the people that they care about when they're growing and those people aren't. Because to what Emilia said, we've talked about this before, growth can be very lonely. I know when Emilia and I were both going through our personal growth journeys, we lost so many friends. We stopped talking to so many of the people from our past, and we don't spend as much time with some of the other people in our life that aren't misaligned, but they're just not the most aligned, right? Like we don't spend a ton of time with our family or old friends or whatever. And it's not because they're not good people, not because they're not, you know, good for us, right? But it's just because we are so focused on our mission that gets prioritized. And I think that's the thing that scares a lot of people is they'll hear us say stuff like that. And it's like, well, I don't want to lose people. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to have to do this on my own. Yeah. I don't want to have to not get to see my friends or not get to go out and do things or not whatever. So what they do is they just don't even try. In their minds, it's easier to stay where they are. It's easier to stay small. Because as long as you're doing that, you don't have to lose anybody. You don't have to face that fear. And what we're suggesting in this episode is you don't have to. What if you making a decision to grow? What if you making a decision to go on your growth journey, it actually brings more people into your life? What if you going on your growth journey actually brings better people into your life? People who like the same things you do, people who have the same dreams as you do, people who want the same things that you do. What if you deciding to grow brought you everything you've ever wanted? And I think I know. That's exactly what happened to me. I decided to go on my growth journey. It wasn't a simple decision, right? When my first mentor, Kevin, told me to go listen to personal development, I basically told him to go F himself. I was like, personal development is bullshit. They all say the same thing, and it's just the same thing repeated over and over. It's not effective. And he's like, Bianca, shut up and go listen to this. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So we ended up listening to it, and it was incredible that I started my journey, and I started changing. And I did end up losing a lot of people. But what I'm here to tell you is what I gained was so much more. I gained 3 amazing, extraordinary people in my life, Kevin, Alan, and Emilia, who genuinely without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. The team that we have working for us and with us are the most incredible people I've ever met. I love them dearly. Our community, the people that I get to connect to all of the time, the clients that I have, I've allowed and attracted so many extraordinary people into my life because I didn't let that fear of possible loneliness get in my way. Going into growth actually brought more for me. It didn't take away.
It just reminded me of an experience that I had. So for the listeners, a couple different experiences, but I'll keep them relatively short and sweet for this episode. So I went on to a backpacking trip. It was a research-based trip with a program when I was in university. And what we did, it was backpacking, but it was research-based for environmental sustainability. And what we had done was research the different environments in the environmentally sustainable economies, if you will. And so we had backpacked, the journey was backpacking through all different types of landscapes, be it New Zealand, Australia, different parts of the UK, and looking at different parts of nature. So it was amazing. But I remember being so afraid before going on that trip because I had never backpacked like mountains before. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And I was so afraid that, I don't know what a hostel is. I don't know what that kind of looks like. And I remember being so afraid for my first hostel because afraid and excited, right? But I let that excitement win, not the fear, to your point, B, because of what I had to gain if I were to try on the excitement that I had. And if I were to kind of just like silence the fear a little bit, like say, okay, fear, I hear you. Like, yeah, you might have like a serial killer come into your barracks and like it could be potentially someone come in and try to kill you in your sleep. But like, what are the odds of that actually happening, right? So if I let that fear just chatter in my head, I would have never explored this opportunity. And statistically speaking, the amount of people that ended up actually like hurt and killed and a serial killer, it's not a logical fear. So listening to that excitement part of me allowed me to go onto this journey. And as a matter of fact, because I was so focused on what I had to gain as a result of this journey through backpacking and meeting new people in these different hostels, that focus allowed me to kind of step way outside my comfort zone and explore different parts of the world that I never otherwise would have if I was just listening to the chatter of what I had to lose with that fear brain. So to this extent, kind of to that, I gained so many incredible friends who had similar journeys. I met people that were also backpacking all over the world in these hostels, never had a bad experience. And it bodes well to this whole growth journey that we're on because you can let that fear brain talk and you can let it tell you that you're going to lose all of these people in your life. But if you just let that be the first one that grabs the microphone every time you say, well, let's embark upon this growth journey. Let's actually set a goal for ourselves. Instead of letting the excitement part of you that doesn't know necessarily what's on the other side of this, doesn't know what you have to gain, but is certain that it is something that could help serve you in the future. That can totally change your life. And last thing on here, we were on a team huddle, team call last night. And I remember getting off of that call and being like overwhelmed with gratitude because my heart was so full. On a Friday night, I wasn't out doing all these things that I struggled so much to do and kind of fit in a certain regard with other people. You know, I just wanted to be at home talking about growth, trying to figure out ways to change the world, right? With the lighting that I had in my background. And I got to do that with people from all over the world, our team, talking about how can we make Evolve Venture Society a place where it can be the place for other people in our community to make sure that they don't have to feel lonely in this growth journey. And like, that's the kind of things that I want to do. If I was strictly focused on failing on these podcast episodes, on failing at not actually making the impact in the world that, you know, that fear brain is so easy of figuring out what that fear is. I would have never realized what I had to gain on the other side of that. You know, an incredible team that there is so much love with. Mission-centered people that actually want to, on a Friday night, figure out if we can do a game night virtually to make sure that everyone can be in the comfort of their own home, right? So like Motivation Monday, all this growth, it genuinely does not have to be lonely. And so through this, my final takeaway is, you know, are you in lonely land? This is the next episode suggestion that I'll put in here, 69. It's trying to figure out where you are in lonely land. And how can you pair up with someone or a community or, you know, people that can actually help you live more in that excitement part of you, that can help you focus on what you have to gain and switch the microphone from that fear part of you where it might be focusing on how lonely the growth journey is or what you have to lose.
My episode suggestion is 65. Has my definition of fun changed?
Oh, that was a good one, baby.
Oh, it's a old one, but a good one.
Yeah. Man, growth doesn't have to be lonely just because your definition of fun looks different. Man, I'm so glad you brought that up.
My definition of fun is doing this.
Hell yeah, me too.
Never thought I would get to that point. Like if I talked to myself 5 years ago and was like, hey, B, what you think is fun is actually going to be recording 8 episodes in a single day of a podcast, I'd be like, go F yourself. What's fun to me is finding a date. That's what's fun.
Right.
So it's like, my definition of fun has definitely changed. Yeah. And I did it in an aligned way, getting out of the loneliness of growth. So we hope this was, we hope this episode was helpful for all of you. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.